Darfur in the western part of Sudan. More than 3 years after the beginning of the conflict, the local populations continue to bear the deadly consequences of a crisis that sees no ending. 2 million people are still away from what was once their homes, with nothing to return to. As most of them have lost their land and their cattle, they have no possibilities of income, no means of transportation, or to pay for treatment. They depend completely on humanitarian relief. Present in the state of North Darfur since the summer of 2004, MSF is reaching more than 250,000 people through medical and emergency assistance, ensuring that people who fled their homes and villages, as well as local residents, can have free access to the most basic health care. Last year alone, the MSF teams, some 20 expatriates and 400 national collaborators, have been providing 320,000 consultations throughout the project. Surveillance of malnutrition, malaria, treatment of war wounded, assistance to victims of sexual and gender-based violence, the needs are endless. Added to that is the issue of overpopulated areas. In 2002 and 2003, during the heights of violence and forced population migrations, some villages and towns in North Darfur have experienced major population increases. These rapid urban growths result in dense population competing for basic resources, such as here in Serif Umra, where 30,000 people have come to seek refuge. The city has now tripled in size.
The vast majority of people are displaced people who have come in the last 1 to 2 years to live there because of the lack of security in their home villages. Either they did not feel safe in their home villages, or their home villages were actually burned and looted and destroyed. So they've had to come here to live to increase the security. Unfortunately, there's not jobs for them, places for them to farm, so they are dependent on foreign aid for food, sanitation, medicine, and everything. So the poverty here is really alarming, as well as the health situation.
The health situation remains poor. A recent study in the Korma area shows that the ratio of young children dying is still alarming. Because of the conflict, normal routine programs such as vaccination against the common communicable diseases have been disrupted. In the village of Koran, 5 babies have died of neonatal tetanus in the last 2 weeks. MSF therefore launched a vaccination campaign targeting pregnant women in the area. Access to water and food is also a major concern. Because of the ongoing conflict, subsistence farmers have been driven off their lands, and the seasonal migration patterns of nomad communities are disturbed. These populations have become urbanized, relying on massive food aid, but relief support to rural areas is difficult, particularly in rebel-controlled zones, where aid can only be provided through non-governmental organizations. Here in Korma, MSF supports the only dispensary available.
Korma, which is situated in North Darfur, is now currently has about 40,000 people living here. It's also a rebel-held area after there was heavy fighting, and this fighting caused about half of the population to flee. At that time, there also were about 40,000 people displaced from an area 50 kilometers away from here, and so these people were forced to flee again for a second time. When MSF arrived here, which was in the middle of 2004, there was no more school functioning, no health structure of any importance. The villages had been looted, the cattle and the harvest destroyed, people were traumatized, half of the houses were burned, so it wasn't a good situation.
The sense of insecurity throughout Darfur is great. Humanitarian activities are hampered by deteriorating security. The populations who came to seek refuge in camps or urban settings fear to move around. They are trapped in a deadlock with no perspective in sight.
كويس دايرين ترجموا محلاتكم ولا المحلات هسه آمنة؟
لا ما في دليل نرجع.
ليه؟
والله ما عندنا فرصة نخافوا.
We are afraid. We cannot return back. Who is protecting us? Our village now already burning. We doesn't have even the shelter. We doesn't have even the trees in our village. Already they give it fire. So there is no shelter. There is no even shadow to stay inside our village. So how we can return back without the security? Who is protect us in our village?
Yet in the face of this ongoing emergency, international aid is decreasing as the Darfur situation has now become a chronic crisis.
The people who live here, they're still in an insecure environment, and people who have fled, they are not returning yet because there is no guarantee that everything will remain quiet, which has been the case for a couple of months now. It is clear that fighting can flare up also here again at any time, at any place. It happens not far away from here, so it's just a matter of time. This conflict is not over.
1 month after this interview, MSF had to evacuate its team from the rebel-held zone of Korma because of renewed fighting. A few weeks later, 3 different attacks occurred on MSF vehicles in the government-controlled zone of Kebkabiya.
كده جرينا قلنا جرينا جينا من جامع جينا دخلنا الكويت جينا الجماعة جارين قلنا ليش قال فيها أدوات يهيني ودايرين يحرقوا ضربات لا حرقوا من
Janjaweed? He said after we had come from the Moscow, we found all the women, children, they flee the area, and we asked them what happened. They tell us, you see that is Janjaweed with the horses, and they have guns and they wear uniform. They want to burn it, our village.
أنا من المعايش برضو بنتكلموا معاهم يجيبوا لكم إغاثة يجيبوا لكم لا ما تخليه كده
Jangan
مويه ما في